Hi everyone, in this video we're going to cover how to answer behavioral questions. If you don't know what behavioral questions are, these are questions that are trying to figure out how you behave or have behaved in the past in different work situations. These are very important so that the interviewer can know how do you actually work under pressure, what do you do if there is someone in the team that is not pulling their weight, how do you deal with failure, how do you deal with conflict, and many more. So before we start, remember to smash the like button and support this channel by doing so. Why should you sustain this question? Because in most serious good jobs, these types of questions will be asked of you and you need to be prepared. So we're going to cover that right away. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you have prepared stories before the interview happens. For example, if I ask you, tell me about a time you failed, you better have a story ready to go that you've practiced many times that you can do in a very short period of time and that answers the question while making you look good and selling yourself to the employer. So what are some of the things you can do? The method that you can use in order to figure out a good answer that you can do and then you can practice it and make it succinct, very short, is the S.t.a.R method, which basically stands for S of situation, the T for task, the A for action, and the R for results. But you can simplify this and just say, what was the problem, the situation? What were the actions that you took? Not what you would have done, but what you actually did. You need to pick something that's in the past that you already did. And R, what were the results? What was the impact of the actions that you took? That's the whole point about a behavioral question. So how does a behavioral question sound like? You know, it is like, tell me about a time that you did X, tell me about a time that you did Y. And what you want to do is give them the context. What was the problem? What was the situation? In other words, what were the stakes? For example, tell me about a time in which you had some conflict at work and how you dealt with it. So basically, you don't want to say, oh yeah, like I had a disagreement in a meeting with a person and that was it, right? No, like you want to set up the tone. What was the situation? Well, I had a disagreement over the budget that was going to be used in our department, and it was a very high stakes deal because the company was actually in decline. Our sales were going down, and I felt as the director of marketing that we really needed to put more efforts into our new marketing strategies that were going to help us regain that power, right? Again, I'm making it up as I go. You want to practice it so it's very succinct. But the accounting department wanted to cut costs in order to avoid us losing. So what I did was that I went into the situation and I explained to everyone how in most cases that have been studied before for companies that have declining revenue, usually what they do is they cut a lot of costs, but they tend to do it in ways that are not sustainable. And instead of actually going out and gaining more revenue with the actual good strategies that can get their customers, then those companies end up going down. And that we can actually do both here. We can cut costs, but we can actually put some of the budget that existed into the right initiatives and stop doing budgeting for things that are not necessary. Right? Something like that. Like I said the situation, but then I said something, a part of what I did, like the action. And that's what you want to do. You want to say, okay, this was the situation, this was the stakes. The company was going to go down. It was a multi-million-dollar company, and we were the high chief executives. We had to make this work, and there was a big disagreement, and this is how I went about it. So when I put it this way, we initiated a plan. I worked on it, right? You want to go into the action, explain exactly what you did, how you convinced others, how you influenced them into going into the plan or whatever it is that you initiated. You don't want to badmouth anyone or say that they were wrong or anything like that. You want to keep it positive. You want to say that they were doing a great job, what they were doing or what they were thinking had merit, and that you influence what happened in this way. And then what were the results? As a result of our as a result of our team effort, we managed to not only cut costs in those areas that were really not vital to the growth of our company, but we were able to siphon the resources from the places where they were not being used in the most efficient way possible into our new marketing efforts. And as a result, in the last 12 months, our company managed to increase sales by more than 15%, and we are well on our way to recovery. You see how that sounds? That's the result. Like, what happened after the actions that we took? Again, I didn't give you like a fluid example. I'm making it up as I go. I might actually practice some just to give them to you guys on these videos. But that is the idea. You want to set up the situation. What was the situation? What were the stakes? You want to make it interesting for them. Like, what was the problem? Why is it so hard? Like, right? What were the actions you took again? And then the results. Something else we need to mention though is that you should be tailoring this for the role that you're going for. For example, maybe you did something very strong, but you did it in a research area. Maybe you are a PhD or a lab person or a researcher, but now you're going for, let's say, a corporate role, maybe an accounting role or something along those lines. So while those behavioral things can be great in the sense of like that shows how you work in a work environment, they don't necessarily showcase your abilities in a way that translates well into a work office that is not a lab setting, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure you pick areas or strengths that can be shown in those behavioral answers that you're giving that could be transferable to the job or role that you are applying to. You gotta keep that in mind. So again, you want to be positive, always give merit to the other people in the situation. You want to do something or say a response that makes you look good, but that can also align with the role that you are applying to in terms of your strengths or whatever behavioral patterns you showed in that response. And you want to practice and have stories ready for many different potential behavioral questions that could be asked of you, because each behavioral question is different. Tell me about a time you failed is going to have a different answer than tell me about a time you were in a conflict, or tell me about a time in which you had to increase the company's revenue, or tell me about a time in which you had a bad performance review, or tell me about a time in which a teammate wasn't pulling their weight. There are many possibilities here, and you want to take some of the most common ones, practice for them, like pick good examples for each of them, practice them so that they can come off seamlessly, not like I'm throwing them to you now somewhat haphazardly and a little bit long. So it's concise, so it's positive, so it portrays you in a good light, and so it shows the employers exactly how you behave under those kinds of situations and what they can expect from you. Does that make sense? If so, comment below and let me know. Remember to smash that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you know whenever a new video comes out.